everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we have a book unhaul. So it has been a while since I have done an unhaul in my library. I usually try to do them like a couple times a year, and I have not done one in 2023 yet. Time has just sort of gotten away from me, and while I have like little books that I'm like, oh, I know I don't want that anymore, I just haven't sat down and like actually picked them out and filmed an unhaul. So I decided to do that today. I do actually have 74 books here, I'm pretty sure, to unhaul. This does include some ebooks as well. I don't think I've ever shown you guys an ebook unhaul, but I do have some that I just know are not really my thing anymore. And so that's what we're gonna do. I have some books that I've read, I have some TBR books, I have some ebooks. The ebooks are also TBR books also. And we're just gonna go through and show you what I'm unhauling. None of these are necessarily like bad books. We'll get into it. A lot of the stuff, especially the TBR stuff, both for physical and ebooks, are just more books that I know I'm probably not going to enjoy because they're not my thing. Like I do have some YA contemporary high school books. If it's YA and it has other elements going on, I usually do like them, but I've found out I just don't really like the ones that are like contemporary in high school, or even like sometimes the contemporary romances in high school. It's just not my thing. Or like enemies to lovers stuff, political fantasy, really dark fantasy, that kind of stuff is things that I just don't particularly like, and so I'm starting to phase those out of my collections. So I think we're gonna start with all the physical books. I do have them sort of grouped by things that I've read before versus the TBR, so that's what we'll do first, and we're just gonna jump right on into it. So the first three books that I have here are from the Iron Druid Chronicles by Kevin Hearn. I actually have the first book, Hounded, the second book, Hexed, and the third book, Hammered. And the reason I'm getting rid of these is because I like the new covers better. So this is a series that I do actually want to jump back into these books because it's been years since I read them, and eventually finish the series, but I'm at that point where I don't particularly want to buy the mass market size anymore, especially because I think it was like last year sometime they came out with prettier covers, and so I'm going to get rid of these ones and eventually purchase those ones and read those. The next one I have here is Girl of Nightmares by Kendara Blake. This is the sequel and conclusion to the Anna Dressed in Blood duology. I am keeping Anna Dressed in Blood because I really liked that one. I did not like this one. I read it this year, really did not enjoy my time with it, did not think it needed to be done after Anna Dressed in Blood, and I'm going to pretend like that was a single book, a standalone, and we didn't need this one. Then the next three books I have here are the first three books in the Planet Barbarians series by Ruby Dixon. These are the old covers. I have the new covers. I really enjoy the new covers, and so because of that, I'm getting rid of my duplicates. I'm not going to be trying to get the series in both covers. I'm only doing the new covers. So while I did read these ones first for that series, I don't think I need both. So we do have the first book, Planet Barbarians, the second book, Barbarian Alien, and the third book, Barbarian Lover. The next one I have here is Neverworld Wake by Marisha Pessl. This is one that I read last year. I actually want to say I gave it maybe a 3.5 or 4 stars. It wasn't bad, but I don't see myself ever reading it again. I really do love this cover. This is the UK edition. It is a YA, sort of weird fantasy, sort of maybe sci-fi, I don't know. It's hard to describe. I did like my time in the world, but I won't read it again. The next three books I have here hurt me just a little bit, but I do have the whole Aurora cycle here. So this is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. We have Aurora Rising, the sequel, Aurora Burning, and the finale, Aurora's End. I read these this year. I reread the first two and then finished the series, and for me, every single book got worse in this series. I absolutely loved Aurora Rising when I first read it, like 5 out of 5 stars, and each book lost at least a whole star every single time I read it. And I'm just at that point where even though I liked the first one so much, these covers are gorgeous, I did not enjoy the rest of my time reading the series necessarily, and I just don't think it's something I'm ever going to pick up again because of that. So I'm going to keep my like Illuminae stuff because I absolutely love that series, and we're gonna get rid of this one. The next couple books I have here are Star Trek books. These are ones that I either read, I think I actually finished this one last year, very beginning of this year in January, or DNF'd. These just did not feel like the Star Trek I know and love, and while I do have a whole bunch of Star Trek stuff that I have up here somewhere behind me, because I really did not enjoy my time with these, do not see this as the characters themselves, like the way it was put together was not good, I'm getting rid of these ones. Then I have two books by Jim Butcher. These are both in the Dresden Files. The first is Stormfront, the second is Full Moon. This is a series that I started years ago, only read these two, and I have just heard some mixed things about this. Like, I enjoyed it well enough. It is like a crime, PI, fantasy sort of thing, but it is sort of dark and can be a little misogynistic, and it's just at that point where I feel like I have so many other things on my TBR, I'm probably just not going to actually continue in this series. So this is actually one that I have debated getting rid of for the last couple times I've done an unhaul, and I've just finally bit the bullet. The next two that we have here might come as a little bit of a surprise. I have The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. These are the Illumicrate / Afterlight editions. The Love Hypothesis I gave 5 stars. Absolutely love this book, which is part of the reason I have these ones, but I didn't like this one as much, which is not a big deal. I think I still gave it like 4 stars. Like, it was still solid for me as a like science-y romance. However, the next book in this series, Love Theoretically, ended up being like a special edition box with extra stuff in it from Illumicrate, and it made the price soar in my opinion, especially with shipping to the States. And I just don't think realistically I'm going to be keeping up with these special edition books for this author from Illumicrate. I do really enjoy what they did with this, like the stained edges and the fact that we do have like a design under the dust jacket. Like, I really do like what they did with it, but to be more realistic with my collection and the fact that I do like reading romances a little bit more in paperback usually, I don't think I need these. It's a little bit hard to say because, again, I really did like what they did with them, but I'm just going to be keeping the paperbacks. The next one I have here is Bear With Me by Lucy Eden. This is a paranormal romance novella by this author. I read that this year. I gave it 3 stars. I just don't think that this is my thing. That's it, pure and simple, and because of that, I won't be reading any more in this like series or world, and I don't need this on my shelves. Then we have You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This was one of those things that made me like fully realize I don't think I'm in that contemporary high school romance stuff sphere. I appreciated this for what it was, but I will never read it again, and it wasn't as gripping as I wanted it to be. So yeah. Then we have Go Hunt Me by Kelly DeVos. This was something I did not enjoy. I did not like the execution of it. It is a sort of like darker mystery thriller, potentially horror sort of thing, but yeah, the execution of it just did not work for me, and I don't need it on my shelves. Then we have In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This was also, I think, an Illumicrate edition. I DNF'd this book this year. It was one of my book club picks, like my book club. Some people read it all the way through. A lot of us DNF'd it. Most of us did not like it. It was just not something for me. It's very dark fantasy, but also YA in a way that should have been adult. And so, yeah. I also have No Longer Human by Junji Ito, or I should say Art by Junji Ito. It's actually based on an original novel by Osamu Dazai. This is not something I need in my life. I DNF'd this. It had a lot of very questionable choices. about lots of content and trigger warnings that I won't even necessarily get into. Look it up, but there's a lot. I think I talked about it in one of my wrap-ups earlier this year. It's just, no, it's so big. And I know Junji Ito's work, like when he does his original stuff, can be very creepy and unsettling, but like that's what I go in for, not like certain content things that were in here. So I'm pretty sure that was everything that I have already read, or at least tried to read. So we're gonna jump into now the physical books that I pulled off of my TBR. The first one I have here is The Wolf and the Woodsman by Ava Reid, another Illumicrate edition. This is one that I was iffy about the last time I did an unhaul. Some people said I should try it out anyway. It sat on a cart that was like over here out of camera focus that entire time. It's been probably at least almost a year since I pulled this off to potentially see about reading, and I have forgotten that I even owned it, so I don't think I'm interested in it at all. Same thing about Crier's War by Nina Varela. This I think was an Owl Crate edition. It's a YA, potentially sci-fi, potentially fantasy. Some people really enjoy this one, but again, I was iffy on it in the first place, put it on this cart, and completely forgot about it, so I don't think I'm going to read it. Next, we have The Wishing Spell from the Land of Stories series by Chris Colfer. This is a middle grade that I have literally owned for years. Part of it is because of name recognition of the author, but at the same time, I just don't think I'm ever gonna read this. I mean, it literally has a sneak peek sort of thing sticker on there from 2013. Like, I have never picked this up. It's probably been like 10 years, I guess, then. So yeah, I don't need this. Next, coming off my TBR, is Tricked by Kevin Hearn. This is the 4th book in the Iron Druid Chronicles. We talked about this earlier. I have not read this one, but I do want to get into this again, but I want the new covers. We also have Grave Peril by Jim Butcher. This is the 3rd book in the Dresden Files. This is the one that I have never read, and I've had it for so long, and I just don't think I'm going to get to it, so. Then we have Reputation by Lex Croucher. This one is like a historical romance type of thing. It came in a mystery box thing from last year that was supposed to be telling, like, I took a personality quiz to see what kind of mystery books I would get, and they completely failed the first time, and this was one of the consolation books. And again, still not my taste at all. I kept it as a potential I will try it, but I won't. I also have Wayward Son by Rainbow Roll. This is actually a duplicate copy. I really did enjoy Carry On. I'm still iffy about if I'm going to continue in the series at all, but I had 2 copies. I had the US edition and the Waterstones edition, and this is a very gorgeous edition, but it's like a B size, or well, I don't know what the differences are. It's even signed, guys. Like, can we see it? It's signed, but it doesn't match. So even if I was going to continue and actually read this one, I'm only going to potentially keep the actual US version. I don't need a duplicate of something that I'm not entirely too sure I will actually get to, but I don't want to like 100% throw it out the window yet, so. I also have Ship It by Britta London. This is something that's been on a TBR multiple times, and I think I even said the last time it got on a TBR that if I didn't read it, it was leaving. Because it's just been one of those books where like I keep it because it has like some sort of like fandom convention type of stuff in it, but it has very mixed reviews. I just keep putting it off, putting it on a TBR, putting it off, putting it on a TBR, putting it off, and I don't want to keep doing that. I just don't think I'm ever realistically going to pick it up, which is a little bit of a shame because I love Underneath the Dust Jacket, but it is a YA contemporary romance, and I don't think that's my thing. Speaking of YA contemporary romances, like I said, I got rid of pretty much all of those that I have that I recognized as like purely YA contemporary stuff, especially set in high school. This is Jay's Gay Agenda by Jason June. This is going to be about a boy coming to terms with like being gay and things like that. And I think having like a list of stuff he wants to get done before he graduates potentially, but I just don't have a very good track record right now with like purely contemporary YA high school stuff. I don't think I'm gonna read it. Then we have Somewhere Only We Know by Maureen Gu. I got rid of a different Maureen Gu last time I did an unhaul, but I kept this one because I thought I would read it more than likely. But I just don't think I'm going to actually get to it. It is another YA contemporary romance. It's not exactly set in high school. It's about like K-pop stuff. Now that I'm saying it, like, I sort of want to keep it just because, like, I do like that idea of the, like, fame and, like, I think potentially having to hide it a little bit. Let me know what you guys think about this one. I could potentially be talked into keeping it. Then I have 2 books by Jen Windrow. This is an indie author. These are books that I picked up at a Phoenix Comic-Con years ago, thinking that I was going to read them, and I just don't think I'm going to. Again, like I've talked about, I've sort of discovered a little bit more about the genres and stuff I like, the tropes and stuff I like, and so this one right here, Pierced by Venom, is technically the second book in like an adult fantasy paranormal romance series. This is supposed to be like the one with the least amount of spice. That was part of the reason I picked it up, but I also just don't think I'm going to get to it. And then we also have Evil's Unlikely Assassin. I don't remember if this is a YA one or a new adult one, but it's about like a vampire hunter, and again, should be paranormal romance. And again, I just keep putting it on a TBR and then never reading it. So we have a couple Christopher Pikes here. I have 3 of them. So I had a little stack of Christopher Pike stuff. I do have some of them that I've read, and then some of them that I have on a TBR. And the thing is, even the ones that I said I've read, I don't remember anything about them because it's been so long. Like, these came out like early 2000s, and so I was reading them around high school, potentially. I read the backs of all of the ones that I currently have, and these are the ones that sounded the most probably because of how old they are from being published, but also I did try out a couple different Christopher Pikes a couple years ago. One of them was okay, and then one of them was very like boy watching girls in a way that was not acceptable any longer, and I think one of them also talked about somebody that was handicapped in a way that was not appropriate either. So these are the ones I have decided to get rid of. So we have Die Softly. The back of this one talks about a boy wanting to photograph cheerleaders in their locker room, and I noped out of that one. Then we also have The Wicked Heart. This is about a boy who is a serial killer in high school, and I just don't particularly want to like read from his point of view. I don't know if it is his point of view, but I've decided I don't want that one. And then we also have Weekend. This is about friends going to a weekend in Mexico, and the reason that it's like a good weekend is there's 4 guys and 5 girls, and it's supposed to be something about that, and I'm just like, you know what, that sounds a little too creepy for me too, so we're getting rid of those. I also then have Cry Wolf by Patricia Briggs. This actually was another one that I was iffy about last Unhaul, put on a cart and forgot about. It is an adult paranormal shifter romance. Getting to the end of the physical books, we have one that people are probably gonna not enjoy for me. I have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I got rid of all of my YA Sarah J. Maas stuff last Unhaul. The Unhaul before that, I don't know. I read a little bit in Throne of Glass, like the first 2 books. I read the first book of A Court of Thorns and Roses. Decided that kind of stuff was fun when I first read it, but was no longer my stuff anymore. Kept the adult one because I was curious, but there are such mixed feelings, not only about this first book with people, but even the second book with people that loved this first one and went into the second one. Some people absolutely hated what that second book became, and I'm just at that point where I'm like, do I actually see myself reading this? I don't, so yeah. The next one I have here is The Monster of Eledhaven by Jennifer Geistrecht. This is a novella. It's very, very short. It's something I probably could have fit on a TBR, but it seems like it's going to be very dark fantasy. Like, it is supposed to, I think, maybe be horror-ish because Joe Hill has blurbed it on the front. But it is one of those ones that I was interested in for at least a little while because I own it. But it's like gothic, dark, supposed to be like one of the things here. Oh, right here. A black tide of perversity, violence, and lush writing. I don't think I want any of those, so I then have The Darkness Outside Us by Elliot Schreifer. This is a duplicate copy. I accidentally got gifted 2 copies of this book by 2 different people, and so I kept the hardcover one and I switched out this paperback one for a different book that the person that gifted it to me was happy for me to switch it out with. So yeah, that's just a duplicate. Then we have a couple more BookBox books. One is As You Walk On by Julian Winters. I absolutely love what they did with this cover here. This is a rainbow crate book, so it actually has like the normal dust jacket and everything underneath. But again, this one is a purely YA contemporary high school romance sort of thing, and so even though I have it and I love the cover and I feel like I should read it, I don't think it's gonna do much for me. Then we have Ravensong by Kayla Faye. This is another one that came in a rainbow crate, so again we have their dust jacket on top and a different one underneath. I just don't know, there's something about this one that is not calling my name at all. I did end up getting the box that this one came in pretty much for the indie book, so it's not like I wasn't expecting to want to read it, but at the same time I don't think I'm gonna pick this one up for some reason. I don't know what, because it's not purely YA contemporary. It is a fantasy sort of thing, but it's not calling me. And then the last physical book that I have here is Witches Steeped in Gold by Shannon Smart. This I think was like an Owl Crate edition book, and I've kept it for a while. Again, questioned it a little bit last time, but I did keep it. However, this one does seem to be more politically fantasy based, and I just really don't like those ones very much when that is like the main focus. And as I was looking through stuff, it did talk about people being an heir and having to overthrow dynasties and things, and I'm just like, I don't think that's gonna do it for me. So I will say, because I forgot to mention it at the beginning of the video, I usually post all of the books that I am unhauling on Depop. So I'm going to especially probably put some of the like BookBox books on there. I haven't updated my Depop in forever, it feels like, because I got rid of everything at the very end of last year, beginning of this year, to like refresh, and then I haven't done an unhaul. But if there is anything like that that you're interested in, it is shipping only in the United States. But I'm gonna put some of like those kind of things on there. I don't sell for like an exceedingly crazy amount, basically just whatever the book should be worth. But yeah, keep a lookout for those. I will link it down below too in case you are interested. And obviously that only counts for the physical books, because now we do have some ebooks that I'm getting rid of today as well. These again are just ones that don't seem like ones I'm ever going to get to. Some I've had for forever. Other ones just don't fit those genres that I would like to read. Some of them are more like the YA contemporary or really dark romance that I thought I was going to read at some point, bully romances, that kind of stuff, things that I know I'm not into. So I think we might just be running through these ones because I don't 100% know any more reasons besides I don't think I'm going to read them. So we have 7 Wishes by Serena Ackroyd, Greed by Fisher Amelie, From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. I just don't think I'm ever going to read that one. A Life of Shadows by Kristen Bannett, Mercenary by Catherine Banks, King of Midnight by Tasha Black, The Haunting of Tram Car 015 by P. Jelly Clark. This I did receive for free, and I thought I was going to read it, but it is very historical, like 1912 Egypt, and I think it's like the 3rd novella in this, so I don't think I'm going to read everything else either, so we are just skipping that one. 6th by Kim Fawkes, Unknown by L.A. Kirk, Make Me a Wish by K.B. Ladnier and Anita Maxwell, The Cursed Witch by Shandell Levon. This one I think is like the 3rd, it's the first book in the 3rd series in this world, so I will potentially keep this like on my Kindle, but I'm not going to keep it on my TBR because people have said I need to read like the first series and the 2nd series first. That's just so you guys know that. Rockabye Baby by L.R.W. Lee, The Lost City of Herculon by Bruce Livingstone, Into Dust by Marley P. Lewis, Strange Skies Over East Berlin by Jeff Loveness, We Ride the Storm by Devin Madsen, A Bitten Curse by Nicole Marie, The Legend of the Blue Eyes by B. Kristen McMichael, Qualify by Vera Nazarian, Free Fall by Tess Oliver, Sisters of the Vast Black by Rena Lather. This is what I thought I was going to read. It is sci-fi, but it seems to be very overly religious because it's sisters, nuns. I don't know if it is like a real world religion or not, but I just don't think I want to read that. Omega by S.M. Rain, A Demon's Blade by C.C. Rose, Street Angel by Jim Rugg, Meeting the Bad Boy Rebels, and Nameless by Jessica Sorensen. I don't think I ever want to read Meeting the Bad Boy Rebels by this author. However, Nameless I am still interested in. However, this author is notorious for not finishing her series. It is an indie author, and I think book 4 of the Nameless series has been like supposed to be coming out since like 2017. So I'm going to save myself some heartache and take this off my TBR for now. Leo Tops Aries by Anita Sunday. I really liked the Signs of Love series by this author, and this is like a novella that I think I got for free, but it's an erotic novella, and I'm not into books that are just that. So, Pestilence by Laura Thalassa, Irredeemable Omnibus by Mark Wade, and Her Mates by Tamara White. That's it. That's everything. All 74, I think it was 74 things that I am getting rid of. Yes. This is a good thing. It definitely was like a purge that needed to happen. Like I said, some of these books are ones that I read either last year or this year, and I just don't need to read again or did not enjoy. But even the purging of the TBR stuff needed to happen at some point. And this is a good thing. It took my TBR books from like 700 something to 680 something. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head right now, but like, that is a good thing. That is a very good thing for me. So I think that's going to be it. Again, keep an eye out on the Depop store down below if you are in the United States looking maybe for any of these like special edition type of books especially. I will try and sell them there just because it's easier for other people to get, and I don't mark them up that crazy. Basically at all. I sell them for cheaper than a lot of people. And that's going to be it from me today. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I will see you then. Bye.